everyone! Today I'm going to be doing a review of Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children. For those of you who have not read this book, I'm going to be doing a non-spoilery overview and a few thoughts before moving on to the spoilery bit. This book is about a boy named Jacob. And Jacob's grandfather used to tell him all of these stories about his weird and magical childhood when he grew up in this boarding school in the UK. All of the children he lived with in this boarding school had some weird, peculiar things about them. Jacob's grandfather has photo evidence of these children, and Jacob, his grandson, is just so fascinated by them. Jacob also really looks up to his grandfather because of all of the war stories that he tells where he goes out and literally fights monsters. As Jacob gets older, however, his grandfather's badass image starts to decline when Jacob begins to think that the photos his grandfather has are just darkroom manipulated and fake. Jacob stops believing in these stories and begins to think instead that his grandfather is just making up all of this because he doesn't want to talk about the actual horrors that occurred in his life during World War II. However, an unexpected event causes Jacob to reconsider the validity of these stories. He sets off to find answers, and that's where our book really picks up. I thought this was a solid story. I gave it a 4 on Goodreads, maybe 3.5. Everyone had been writing this off as a horror sort of book or a creepy book, and I didn't really get that except for in the beginning. The book definitely starts out sort of creepy and mysterious. There's a lot of not knowing what's real and what's not real, and you're not sure whether Jacob is a reliable narrator, and that's really interesting. After about a third of the way through, though, it becomes less of a horror story and more of an adventure story. It was a really fun adventure story, and I really did enjoy it. It's just definitely not where I thought the book was going to go. It was really more of an adventure story with creepy elements. If that's the kind of thing you're in the mood for, still definitely pick it up. I think it's really good, and I will be reading Hollow City. But if you want something that is truly creepy and unnerving, but also haunting and beautiful, I would recommend this instead, Death Watch by Ari Berg. It's part of a trilogy, and I've only read this first one, but man, it is like such an awesome ghost story. The whole atmosphere of this book is unnerving from beginning to end, but also besides being creepy, it's beautiful, and it looks at death in such an interesting way. If you're looking for something creepy, I would go for this instead, and then come back to Miss Peregrine's when you're looking for more of an adventure story that just has creepy stuff in it. That being said, I did still like this book, like I said, and the coolest thing about it is what everybody talks about, which is the actual found photographs that Ransom Riggs uses. So he has lots of photos in the book that he did find in real life and based the story around, which I just think is such a cool idea. In fact, I liked the idea of using photography to create stories so much that I decided it would make a fantastic writing prompt. And so I challenge you to look up either weird, creepy, funny, whatever kind of photos on the internet, or look in your own albums. Pick a couple and then write either a short story, like in a paragraph or page, or even just a haiku like I'm about to show you, and see what you come up with. I think it'd be really funny. I have 5 examples for you. Literally Googled creepy old pictures and picked 5 out of what came up and decided to write some haikus. Number 1. Devilish Pinocchio. Devils or donkeys? Either Pinocchio or Devil's Christmas Card. Number 2. Disney Gone Wrong. From Deep in the Vault. Proof of the Mickey Mouse Club's hardcore phase gone wrong. Number 3. Neville's Bogart. Neville's charmed Bogart. The true identity was Snape's creepy mother. Number 4. First Mario game. Old school Mario. With shrooms before it was cool. The pre-plumber days. And last but not least, Zombie Leash Kids. New movie idea. Rise of the Zombie Leash Kids. Do not set those free. Alright, so yeah, those are mine, just 5 examples, and I would encourage you to do the same. Give me a haiku in the comments, or a short story, like give me a paragraph or something. I think it'd be fun. Alright, now moving on to some general thoughts that have spoilery stuff in it. If you have not read the book, don't keep watching. I'll see you after you finish. Bye. Bye, non-spoilery people. Bye-bye. First and foremost, I was not expecting Jacob to meet the kids the way that he did. I thought that they were going to be ghosts. Like flat out the whole time. I thought it was going to be a ghost story. And so when he actually meets them in the flesh, I was a little confused. Don't get me wrong, the time loop thing was cool. I liked the concept and it was an interesting idea, and there were some sinister and creepy stuff that happens in the loop, but I don't know, it's just not where I thought the book was gonna go. I would have been cool with it if the book had gone in a totally different direction. Say, maybe as Jacob's exploring the house, he finds more photos or objects that belonged to the children when they lived there, and as he finds them, he finds their ghosts as well. And so maybe the kids would help him unravel the history themselves, and by the end of his talks with them, he would know all about what he has to do, which is go after these monsters and kill them, just like his grandfather used to. Like maybe the children would warn him saying, we were killed by the monsters, not by the bombs exactly, and you need to go protect the peculiar children that still live in the world in your time. That would have been fun. I don't know. I'm just speculating here. Now I know I keep saying that the book's not as creepy as I expected it to be. That's not to say that there wasn't some messed up stuff happening in the time loop. There was. The whole raid the village thing, that is the kind of dark thing that I wish he had explored a little bit more. Like there are a couple of things like that are really only mentioned to show that the kids are sort of losing their mind, being stuck in this time loop for all eternity. And I think that raises some interesting questions about like what Miss Peregrine is really doing for these children. Like, is she really saving them? Is this a life worth living forever just to be safe? Like, I kind of wish Ransom had made Miss Peregrine sort of the villain. I don't know. I think that could have been an interesting direction to go in. I did really like the setting, however. I loved how creepy the house was when Jacob first finds it. I love the description of this little village in the UK. And like I said, I thought the time loop thing was interesting. The only thing that I didn't understand, when Jacob goes into the time loop, I expected that when he came out, it would be exactly the same time. Like when he would leave, it would be like pause in the real world, and then when he came back, it would be like he never left. But what actually happens is, as the day progresses in the time loop, day progresses in the real world, and so when he leaves, it's as though he's been away for hours. I didn't quite understand how that was a thing because it seems like the loop exists in its own little pocket of space. I don't know, maybe it does make more sense that way. I'm not an expert on time travel. It was an interesting concept anyway. I did think it was pretty cool. I was not a fan, however, of the whole Emma and Jacob romance thing for the exact same reasons that Jacob wasn't okay with it when he first met her. She was in love with his grandfather, and now she's only kind of hitting on Jacob to fill the void of her broken heart. He knew that. He talks about that. Jacob himself knows better, and yet he still lets this happen. Like, you expect Emma to act irrationally and childishly because she and the other children are kind of messed up. They're a little messed up from this whole situation that they're in. But instead of Jacob kind of reprimanding her and telling her, you know, this is not a thing we should be doing, he kind of does, but he still lets too much happen between them, and I wish he hadn't, because it's just weird, first of all. And even if it wasn't as weird, it's not fair to either of them. Like, you live in different worlds, literally, and she can never leave the loop or she will die. So why encourage something that is absolutely not going to work out and just break her heart all over again when you have to leave? Because Jacob, it seems like you're going to have to leave. Like, sure, at the end, they all go skipping merrily off into the bomb-filled sunset to go hunt down monsters together, but, like, nah, I don't know. I wasn't a fan of that whole romance. Sorry. What else? Oh, the whole thing with the museum curator. Oh, I was so sad when he died. I know he's like the minorest of minor characters, this museum curator, but I really liked him, and I was super sad when he got attacked by the monster, and then he thought it was the mummified corpse or whatever they found in the bog, and he thought, it was so, his dialogue, it was just so sad. Like, of all things, that is not actually the saddest and creepiest thing in the book, but it was to me. I did enjoy all those little moments like that, though, where it wasn't just the adrenaline adventure, but genuinely creepy or genuinely upsetting and sad moments. Those things got to me the most in this book. I think that's all I really have to say about it, so leave your thoughts down below if you have read it, and let me know what you thought of it, and if you will be reading Hollow City. I will, eventually, at some point. So that is it for me. This has been a review. I'm Jackie, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye!